All right, everyone. It's me, Nick Nitro, again in the garage. Uh, just want to follow up on a few things. So, had just finished up, I guess, on two tournaments. One was a club tournament on Super Bowl Sunday at Lake Murray, which is one of our smaller lakes here in San Diego. But it was it was tough. We usually fish this a little bit later in the year, more in the spawn time, but being the first tournament of the year, it's kind of refreshing to have to figure something out. So I did what I could. I only got four. Couldn't find that elusive fifth fish. Ended up in third, but for me, the bite. Well, let me start by this. The bite I was chasing was swim bait bite. All right, so I got the news out dangerous loaded swim bait, and it's awesome. Kept good bottom contact, and I can feel it bouncing off the bottom as I was reeling it back slow. And they had recently stocked the lake with trout, so I was expecting every time I bump something on the ground for it to either go slack or just feel it just get hammered, but uh, nothing like that happened. Didn't get not one bite with it, but did catch a trout and caught my other Ford keeper bass on drop shot. Uh, Fairly short leader, or I guess my standard leader. It's about 6 inches. Is the leader I use when I drop shot. Oh, secret's out. But once again, the weapon of choice was this worm right here, that orange crusher, aka Oscar Charlie. It did the damage, and my fish came in pairs. It was weird. I fished most of the morning for nothing. Get the one bass, take it off the hook, throw out to the same spot. Boom, got the second bass. Using the graph. No, I don't have active target or anything like that. It's I guess considered old school, but I was just using a regular down imaging and stuff, and saw there was more fish in the area, but I couldn't get any more to bite. And then closer to 11 o'clock, uh, was fishing near, or I was trying to duplicate basically. I was fishing um, flats next to deep water, and I was fishing right as that transition happens to the deeper side. So I guess fishing in that trough, and I tried to pattern that the rest of the lake, and I found basically where I caught the two other fish. Uh, Similar spot, threw out there, caught one. Next cast, caught another one. And of course, I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting ready to catch number five because there's more spots like it, but it never happened. So drop shot was a game winner for me. Or I don't want to say game winner, but it got me third place. So, and more importantly, the much needed point. So it's good to start the season off with some much needed points and set myself up moving forward. Then uh, following week, or I guess this past weekend, had the team tournament, and the plan was for me to kick back and do my bill dance, but my partner ended up getting sick, so um, and taking my boat out for the team and fishing in alone. A little bit of adjustment. The gamble was that the fish were going to be shallow, and I was throwing uh, everything I guess everyone else was throwing. The people that won the tournament, I said they were throwing jigs. I threw a jig, lost one in some rocks, threw an articulated jig head, and did not get bit on that. Uh, Threw the bladed jig, threw crankbaits, I threw everything, and it boiled down to throwing the Neko rig. And the crazy part is the whole time, or I guess the first hour in the morning, which there was fog everywhere. It's kind of scary driving, but there was fog, thick fog. I ended up stopping on my, or settling on my first spot in an area where it was a little off. I wanted to fish more of the point, but there was already someone there, so I had to go inside and fish the shallow area. But I didn't think it was going to make too much of a difference, and lucky for me that I did. But when I switched to the Neko rig, I threw out there with the natural shad color, which, you know, I normally, catch good fish with it, thinking that they're chasing shad anyway. I mean, that's what do they call them now? The scopers. That's what they're out there doing, following the bait balls and throwing, to the bass they see. So I don't, like I said, I don't have the active target. So I was just picturing like, all right, if they're chasing the shad or chasing bait, let me go ahead and throw out there with the natural shad. But the whole time I was throwing out there, I just had that, that feeling, that sixth sense, if you will. Like, man, I think I need to switch to that green pumpkin party. So eventually gave in. I was like, you know what, I can't make this feeling or these voices go away until I put on this green pumpkin party. Switched to green pumpkin party, threw out there. Thought I got bit, but when I yanked to set the hook, it came back with nothing. So I threw back out, maybe a little bit to the left of the spot that I originally threw out there. The line took off. Boom, first one in the boat. Then uh, I went down a little ways, maybe like 20 feet, still with that green pumpkin party. Threw up some rocks, pulled it off, got another one, and then I was like, all right, I may be on to something. Went around the rock, made the next cast, probably like 5 feet, and got another one. So I was like, all right, I was feeling really good, so get three real fast. Um, then it took a little bit and got a little bit of a lull, and I just think back, it's all my fault. If I would have started with the Neko rig or switched to the Neko rig, in particular Green Pumpkin Party, a little bit early, I would have probably had a limit probably in the first hour. I'm thinking it was a pretty good area. I can say by that because the area I was fishing, the Caneos area, there's tons of boats there. Well, I don't want to say tons of boats. There was like 6 or 7 boats at a time there. So, in my little corner I was in, I was just huddled up there. But I eventually left there thinking I'll come back a little bit later. The infamous maybe the fish need a reset. Once again, glad I did. I started noticing I was fishing once again shallow. My fish came in, the first 3 fish came in about less than a foot of water. So I was like, stick ups next to real shallow bank, next to some rocks. That's probably where I want to get bit. Well, I went running, saw another spot a little further up in the north arm, and threw up into a spot, and it had to be maybe 4 inches of water, but it did slope off pretty quick into some deeper water. Anyway, didn't feel a bite, but I was wondering why the line was next to my trolling motor. So set the hook on that, and that was my big fish. That was the like a 3.8 or something like that. So pretty cool. And then I spent the rest of the time trying to get that 5th fish. Took a little bit, but I finally got it, and then I couldn't, running that pattern, I just couldn't get bit. I even fished in like 30 feet of water on 2 humps. I ended up catching one. I thought it was going to be huge when I felt the bite. Used the drop shot, but it was a fish that just couldn't help me. So this was the Green Pumpkin Party. A lot of people name it tons of different names. So it's green pumpkin with purple and green flakes. Yeah, those were the weapons of choice, and that tournament was at El Cap. So once again, nowhere near the top 10 or anything like that, but got much needed points, and we moved up in the standing. So the goal for the team is to be up in the top 10. And I do believe top 10 gets qualified for the championship, and I do believe like it's a free entry for that if you're in the top 10, or maybe it's top 5. But we definitely want to make the top 10. We want to control our own destiny, so we need to move up, and we got another tournament coming up in a few weeks. So I'm really excited, keep it moving. Hopefully we can get something on a little fancier, maybe a swim bait or a crankbait or something. But don't be scared to throw out the Neko rig or drop shot. So Friday night update. So until next time, tight lines out.